India's tour of West Indies now moves to the final venue for the last two T20Is. After facing some minor issues with the visa, both teams are prepared for the challenge in the United States now. The fourth T20I of this five-match series is ready to unfold at Central Broward Park, Lauderhill, Florida. I welcome my distinguished guests today, Joydeep Mukherjee and Nishantjeet Arora. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining. Joyda, welcome back to India. Welcome back
Thank
home.
you.
You hope you had a very pleasant journey back. And we would like to know from you, how are you feeling coming back to your country? And gentlemen, before we start our discussion on this fourth T20I between India and West Indies, a very important update that is needed for everybody, especially cricket fans all over the world, Indian cricket fans all over the world, to know that our Indian women's cricket team has beaten England by 4 runs to qualify for the Commonwealth Games final. They will now be fighting for gold. How great is this? And on this, I want both Joyda and Nishant to give your valuable thoughts. We'll begin first with Joyda.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I'm not really surprised because we are a top team. Yes, it was England. So England and Australia have been a bit of a thorn in our flesh. They are the two best teams, Australia being one, England being two. But when it's a T20 game, it's on a given day. And the difference between an England team and an India team is not much. They've been better, but not by a lot. So when things go well for India, when India does, I watched the whole game, and it went down to the wire. India, I think, were about 10, 12 runs short. England were cruising, and then they played some rough shots, run out, everything. This is what pressure does. See, this is a medal match. It's like a World Cup match. A tri-series, a one-day series is okay, but a medal match, especially when you're a favorite, then when you are under the gun, strange things have happened, and that's exactly what happened. Today was a classic case of the pressure getting to them.
It was indeed a very, very intense game. Nishant, I would like my viewers to know that Nishant is very deeply and extensively associated with women's cricket. So, Nishant, I want you to give us your thoughts on how you felt our ladies fared in this very, very crunch game.
I think first of all, congratulations to the entire India and the entire team. It was a remarkable game, keeping in mind that the two best sides in the world. I was working in the Women's World Cup recently, and you could clearly make out that first there is Australia, then there is England, and then there are teams like New Zealand, India, South Africa. All three of them are more or less
Yes.
of same force. But India had a very bad game against England, and I unfortunately covered that game. I was at that venue. England completely outplayed India, and then India also has scars of the 2017 finals against England. This was Birmingham. This was the
Absolutely.
semi-final. This was a medal game, and this was the best place for India to get rid of those bad memories. And what an incredible performance! Smriti Mandhana from the top, Jemima Rodrigues, who was not part of the one-day side, and she must have been hurting. And this has been a great tournament for her. She has again staked her claims and shown that the kind of player she is. And one must not forget that Jemima and Smriti, they both know these conditions very well because last year they played the 100 tournament there, and this year also they are playing the 100 tournament. And I also feel in in New Zealand, I thought that there was something missing in this side, but today this side looked some completely different. It's a very very composed side. I think it's a led by Harmanpreet Kaur. She's probably one of the greatest players, along with Mithali Raj, the likes of Anjum Chopra, players like Diana Adulji. They will go down as probably some of the greatest players Indian women's sport, Indian women team has produced. So remarkable win, but against Australia, it won't be easy. I have said this before, and I'm saying this again. This Australian women team is the West Indies of 80s. But this is England in the 83 Indian cricket team, surprise West Indies. And let's hope that in the finals, if they are up against Australia, then who knows?
I do hope, that 83 moment comes for our Indian ladies as well. On twice occasions, they've had to face massive heartbreaks in finals. First, the 2017 World Cup final, and then the 2020 World Cup final. But we know how brave our ladies are, and time and again, they have shown that they can bounce back from the toughest of situations. A little more on this before we move on to this all important game coming up. I don't know who's going to qualify in the other semi-final between Australia and New Zealand, but let's have both of you gentlemen giving your valuable messages to our Indian ladies as they will be taking on the golden match to whoever the other finalist is going to be. First, Nishant, then Joyda, because we also have seen this trend that, and as you have also stated, that pressure is something which has to be controlled. It's extremely important. It's tough, but it's extremely important to handle pressure in such situations. As Joyda also stated, that it's a medal match, you can't afford to have slip ups. So what are your messages to our ladies as they will be hunting for gold, if, and we do hope they do get gold?
Uh, Whoever comes in the final, whether it is New Zealand, whether it is Australia, they are two top sides. Uh, Players like Meg Lanning, and some of the great players are there in those teams. Sophie Devine, one of the greatest players the world women cricket has seen. So they are two great teams, and the only way you can beat them is be fearless. Just go and express yourself. Don't think about the big match. Don't think about the occasion. Just try to be at your best for those 240 balls. If you can play those 240 balls little better than both these sides, you will end up on the right side of the result. The difference between England and India was not much today. The difference was that India played those 240 balls little better than England, and that's why it was a matter of one hit. The last ball was a six, so it was a matter of one hit. But that's how 2020 is, and India should not forget that in their first round game against Australia, at one point they had Australia on the map, and then Ash Gardner, who I call the Rishabh Pant of women's cricket, came down heavily on them, and she just completely destroyed India's plans. So India will have to guard against that kind of surprises. So without thinking too much about the past and the history, just go and express yourself, and entire India will be backing you. Go for it, girls. Go for the gold.
Joyda.
Yeah, I just feel that Australia is a far better side. Yes, I have not too much fans on paper, on the ground side. So was 1983 West Indies than India. A better side doesn't mean that you're going to win the game. You start off as favorites. You start off slightly ahead of the other team. But in such a short game, I think the longer the game, the more the team comes through. Because, in a test match, if there's a lot of difference in the skill set of two teams, it really shines through. You just cannot keep up with them for 5 days. For 15 sessions, it's impossible to compete with them. In 50 overs, you can for a while, and then you let go because you can't sustain it. In T20, that's the reason why we see the most number of upsets in T20. We don't see that many upsets in Test cricket, not so much in one-day cricket. But in T20, we see a lot more upsets than that, because a short phase of the game can really change the game in the favor of any one team. A 15 minutes, a 10 minutes, a good 10 minutes can make it good for you. A bad 10 minutes with the opponent can make it good for you. So, on that note, I feel that India can compete. India is capable. Yes, the pressure is there, but sometimes playing an Australian team, the pressure is all on them. Now, we all know how good Australia is, as Nishan said. We all know that it will be an upset if you beat them. That's a great place to be. You've done the hard work. You've beaten a very good side, which is England. Now you take that momentum, whether it's Australia or New Zealand, whichever. They'll be hoping it's New Zealand, because New Zealand is more of a beatable side than Australia is. As we saw in the last game, in Nishan said, somebody comes at number 6 and wins your game. In Australia, we're looking out, gone, done, over. But yet, one guy comes and wins the game. One person comes and wins the game. So that is what Australia has. They bat deep, they bat long, they have a lot of depth. A lot of people bat and bowl. They're a very athletic side, very professional side. So you have to play out of your skin, or pray that they have a really off day. Either one.
So, a loud and clear message from both our panelists to our ladies, to our brave Indian ladies who have qualified for the Commonwealth Games final in cricket. Go for gold. All the very best to you. And now let's move on to this fourth T20I between India and West Indies. There is an update that the toss has been delayed due to bad weather. The rain has been on and off in Florida. Mind you, viewers, the matches, the remaining two T20Is are going to take place at in USA, and right now it's raining, so the toss has been delayed due to bad weather and wet outfield. So we can perhaps spend some time and talk about the third T20I, which India won and are currently leading 2-1 in the series. And once again, Joyda, please give your virtual fist bump. You were absolutely vocal about Surya Kumar Yadav. One match you didn't take his name, and you have Sky back in his form. Sky is once again the talk of the town. Joyda, your thoughts?
Yeah, sky is the limit. It's been said much before this guy came around. But I just feel that the range that he has. Now, on that same note, today Sky could come and really disappoint. He could get out. But players like this, players like him, Rishabh, I find him more responsible than more of a finished product, for lack of a better word, than Rishabh. I think Rishabh also has as much range, but I think as far as maturity is concerned, and cricket maturity is concerned, and batting maturity is concerned, Surya is about 7 or 8 years older than Rishabh. Surya has played a lot of first-class cricket, which Rishabh hasn't. Surya has played a lot of India A, a lot of these matches, 7, 8 years of IPL. So he's more of a finished product just because the amount of miles that's behind him. It's got nothing else to do. Some things in life come with experience, something that I know very well, Nishant knows quite well, and you don't know at all because you're just starting your life. But when you'll be our age, you'll know that no matter how good you are, how promising you are, there's experiences in life. Your parents, your elders will tell you that with experience, you gain a lot of things. So that is what Surya is right now. And the reason I keep picking Surya is because one, that he's got a huge range of play shots. Two is because he's
Absolutely.
matured in the head. Two is because he's matured. He doesn't just give it away. And three, because he's in the form of his life. So all three are very important. If you go with one without the other, if you're in great form and mature, but you don't have the range, you're gone. If you have range and if you're matured and you're not in form, it doesn't happen. So all three has to have to go together. So that's the reason why, for me, he is the most important white ball batter. For me, the player is Hardik Pandya, but for me, the batter is him because he's a guy who can open, bat at 3, bat at 5, bat at 7. He's a gun fielder. He's a very good safe catcher. This is the sort of guy you want in your team. He'll win you games which you think you've lost. He'll win you games alone. He'll play an innings at the top of the order, but I still don't feel top is the place because we've got 4 guys to bat at 1, 2, 3. Our players to bat at 5, 6, 7 are very, very few. That's where I want Surya. That's where I want Hardik. That's where I want Jadeja. Because these are the guys who will win you the game. These are the guys who will do that, 12 ball, 24 and win you the game. Yes, Rohit will do it at the top. Virat will do it at the top. KL will do it at the top. But ultimately, those guys, often in T20, will do the bulk of the scoring and leave you at 22 balls, 45 to get with 7 wickets in hand. Who gets you across the line? So for me, Surya, Hardik, these are the guys who can do the job.
An absolute key player for Team India. Nishant, if you can shed some light and your thoughts on Surya Kumar's brilliant innings that he played in the third T20I, which ensured India that victory for 44 balls 76. How good was Sky's innings in that match?
First and foremost, I think, like as Dada mentioned, he's a mature cricketer, and he has played cricket
Yeah.
enough to know. And you also see the kind of improvement he has shown as a cricketer. Like a few years back, he was predominantly a left side player, but now he's an all round player. His slice over the third man, the shot that he plays, is one of the most atrocious, attractive, adorable cricket shot I have seen. I use all these three
Yeah.
words because it's amazing how he plays that shot. Sometimes it looks like that. What is he trying to do? In the first game, he hit that six over third man, where it looked like that he's driving the ball, and at the last moment he slices the ball in a way that it clears the fence. He is an amazing player, and I think he, as Dada mentioned, that he would be a key player in the coming World Cup. And he has really proved time and again that given proper chances, given proper backing, players can do wonders. And I think India
Nishant,
is lucky to have
Nishant,
him. India is
Nishant, you make a great point also that India Cup didn't come easy to him.
yeah,
So he
absolutely,
knows the
Yeah.
value of it.
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
There are some who've got it rather easily compared to a Surya.
yeah. I completely agree with you, Dada, because
And that is the
you know
reason
you
why when you say that he's more a complete player, that also comes with the fact that how hard was that cap to get and how much do I
yeah,
want to hang on to it or let that go. Is life for me better with the cap or without? That's what it comes down to.
absolutely.
And
And
it's
I
not about the
think
money. It's not about the money. It's not about the glamour. It's about playing with the badge on your chest.
it's about the passion. It's about the passion. It's about your countless train journeys you have done with your kit bag in your high hands from one part of Bombay to reaching practice with barely a place to sit. You try to find a place with your kit bag in that compartment. It's about those countless sacrifices you and your family make to be there. And at that point, you don't even know what money you will make. At a 13-year-old, when you get into that passion and when you start playing, I don't think anyone thinks about, okay, if I play this well, I will be picked up by Mumbai Indians for this much money. That's not the reason you play the game for. So
True.
I think Surya Kumar, like many other Mumbai cricketers, is a great story, and outstanding ability, and he will be a real asset for India in this format, especially going into and just not this format. I think one day cricket also. Why not one day cricket? Like in one day cricket, we have a World Cup next year
You
in
know,
India.
Nishant, in one day cricket, off late he's disappointed all of us because I don't think he knows his role. In T20, he knows his role. One day cricket is a long game. I remember you once said that one day cricket is a very long game. And that was a great
Yeah,
point you make. It's what, two and a half one T20 games with both
yeah.
sides batting? Yeah.
But I think the kind of ability he has, and I'm sure team management will work with him, and he will find his ways. If you look at his domestic cricket
Yeah,
record,
it's a short
especially
selection. Firstly, in T20, it's
yeah,
important for you to know what number you're going to bat at. In T20, it doesn't matter so much because it's a really
yeah.
short game and things change into. But in 50 overs, are you batting in the top three? Are you batting 4-5? Are you batting? Are you a finisher? You know the role to be given and told. I sometimes feel that as good as he Surya is, he tries to play beyond himself in 50 overs because in T20, sometimes a 14 ball 20 is superb. But in 50 overs, a 14 ball 20 can be useless sometimes
And
when
I
you're
think that is a
chasing.
that is a that is a bit of a problem with Rishabh as well. If you look at Rishabh in
Yeah, that's true.
2020, he
Yeah, but Rishabh
he
also has
knows
the
what he
same
has.
problem in T20. He doesn't have it in at least
Yeah,
in T20 also he has it. But again, he was batting six, now he's
yeah.
batting
He's
four.
actually what I meant to say was that it's a completely opposite. Like
Absolutely.
Rishabh is absolutely comfortable in Test cricket. He loves
Yeah.
playing one day cricket, and in 2020, he's still trying to figure out that what really
It's the
works
same
for
with
him.
Virendra Sehwag, somebody you work closely with. When I first saw him, and I thought he's going to be a killer in white ball cricket. Well, he was a killer,
Yeah,
but he was a mass killer in Test cricket. You know.
yeah. I
True.
personally feel Viren Sehwag was the impact player of the first decade of
Of course,
20th
no doubt
century.
about it. What a player, man! What a player.
Yeah, yeah.
Damini, all yours.
Damni, I think, has the.
Has frozen.
Yeah, I think, Dada, I want to ask you one thing. As we are getting closer towards, by every game, what is your
Is
view
struggling in
about.
this series, and that is Shreyas Iyer. Nishant, did you hear the question?
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
Can you say that again, please?
can you
We
say that
just heard the
again,
last
please?
bit.
Yeah, I'll just repeat. Nishant, I need you to shed light on a particular player who is in recent times, particularly in this series, is struggling, and that is Shreyas Iyer. You have harped on him in previous shows. Even we had Joyda in the previous show telling that how Shreyas Iyer is struggling. If you could tell us where Shreyas Iyer is going wrong with his executions.
I think first and foremost, I think you can feel that he is feeling bit of the heat. He knows that there are a lot of players who are like waiting in the wings. Someone like Sanju Samson is sitting outside. Someone like Deepak Huda is knocking at the doors. And then you have Virat Kohli and KL Rahul who will make a comeback in the side sooner than later. And that really puts a lot of pressure. So I think
Ishan
these
Kishan.
two, Ishan Kishan, one must not forget. So all these are big names. So I personally feel that these two games are extremely vital for him. Especially this
Not
game.
to mention Rituraj Gaikwad and Rahul Tripathi, who've also been in and out. So these are names that are all there.
Yeah,
It's a very good point, Nishant. Yeah, of course.
yeah. So I think when you know that each failure of yours is actually pushing you away from that 11 or that
Mm,
14, because there are far too many big names staking
mm,
claims for that. And
true.
you also know that for how long you will be, obviously this team management has shown remarkable faith in his ability, and rightly so, that they have given him all the chances to excel. And in one day
Absolutely.
cricket, credit to the man, he got a bit of runs against the West Indies. But in this format, I think it will be really difficult for him unless he produces a outstanding knock tonight, because tonight is the Asia Cup selection. So selectors would be making that call that who are the 15 or 16 players they pick who will be going to UAE for the Asia Cup. And if you look at it, Rahul will be back, Virat Kohli will be back. And I think from Asia Cup onwards, we will be more or less settling with our 16. Right now, India is trying to find their best 16. After that, I think from the Asia Cup onwards, and then we have few games in India against Australia and South Africa. That time would be where India would be looking to find their 11
Mm.
for Australia. So the first part I think completes in this tournament. That is to who are the best 16 players to represent India in the T20 World Cup against Australia. And after that, those players should be given all the chances, all the opportunities against in the Asia Cup. And then after that, Australia's tour of India, then South Africa tour of India. So all those games will give India another chance, all these players. So once those 16 are selected for the Asia Cups, I don't see many changes happening unless someone gets injured or something like that. So this will be, this is I would say a very, very last chance for someone like Shreyas Iyer, especially in the T20 format on for this World Cup.
Joyda, I'll come to you along with Sky. It's Hardik Pandya who've you have harped on a lot, and Hardik Pandya was outstanding in the third T20. He finished with figures of 4 overs, 19 runs, 1 wicket, and the most economical 4.75. So how important is Hardik Pandya for Team India in upcoming tournaments, be it the World Cup, be it the Asia Cup, or any series for that matter, any format? How important is Hardik Pandya? You have harped
Yeah,
on him. Now, your thoughts.
yeah. You can take out any of the pre-shows and post-shows that I have done, and you'll see that I mentioned Hardik Pandya. The reason being that there's somebody who can win your game with bat or ball, not and. Just with the bat or just with the ball. When he bats, he looks like a batsman to me. He can play as a batter. When he bowls, he looks like a bowler to me. He can bowl even if he doesn't bat. He's a gun fielder. He's really matured now. I love the way he conducts himself on the field, the way he talks to the youngsters, the way he's there for the senior players. When the heat is on, he's a guy you can turn to him for advice. He's got a calming experience. I never thought I would say these things about Hardik Pandya a couple of years back. But that's what life does to you, I think Mumbai Indians not retaining him was a big thud that he felt. He fell from the 20th floor. Then he's got married. He's got the family way. Things have panned out for him really good, and that's given him a space of. And then the captaincy in the IPL, and then winning the trophy. So all this is contributed in his development as a person more than a cricketer. So when you mature as a person, like Surya is, and so that is what happens to you. Now, he is one person who is the most valuable person for me, player for me, as far as India is concerned. I'd keep him wrapped in cotton wool and make sure his load management and his body and his back. He's had issues with his back. He's had physical issues. He's had injuries. So there are really some very, very knowledgeable people looking after all this. Rahul, and not only Rahul, I've worked with Kamlesh, who's the physio of the Indian cricket team right now. He started in Bengal. Then we were together in the Kolkata Knight Riders. So all these people, the physio, the trainer, everybody, the coach, the bowling coach, everybody will be keeping an eye on Hardik Pandya's load management and making sure that when we go and play the T20 World Cup or the Asia Cup, two most important tournaments as of now, that he is all guns firing. I think physically to keep him at the top of his at the in very good shape is the biggest key, because everything else is already in very good shape. But this game, you need you need your body to back you, and if it doesn't, then no matter how good you are, you're not going to be able to showcase your skills. For somebody who's had issues with his body, that is the biggest key for him. You keep him fit, you keep him strong. He is irreplaceable. He's a guy who can win you a trophy.
An absolute roller coaster ride for Hardik Pandya and his career, but it is Hardik who has always bounced back and proved his mettle. Now, final 1-1 question each. One to Nishant and a lighter question to Joyda. It will be first. I'll come to Nishant. Nishant,
Why not a
West
lighter
Indies
question to
have
me?
that.
Because
We've
you're
had
a
light
because you're a
conversation.
heavy person. You're a heavy, knowledgeable, mature, been there, done it person. I'm still getting there.
Uh, I know what you mean exactly. I need to lose some weight. Got it, man. Got it. Message,
Nishad,
message.
once you Nishad, once you look at Nishad, once you look at that face, nobody will look at that body. Don't worry.
Okay.
Damini, all yours.
Com-
Nishant, you're lovable just the way you are. You and Joanna
Sure.
both. Nishant, West Indies had that one win in the second T20I, which, we all felt probably they needed it very badly and would perhaps give them that confidence to move on. But once again, we are seeing them on the losing side. So, what is your message to West Indies? Like, okay, you have managed that victory, but what is preventing you from carrying on with the momentum? Like,
I think
how are you allowing your
this
opposition to
is.
bounce back?
I think we need to give little more time to this West Indian side. If you look at the last T20 World Cup in Dubai, they had the likes of Chris Gayle, Andre Russell, Kieran Pollard playing for them.
Yes,
And all these are giants of T20 cricket. And now none of them are there.
absolutely.
So it will take some time for them to, find their right combinations, find the right players to replace them. If Chris Gayle is so easily replaceable, then Chris Gayle was not as big a player as we talk about him. It's a
True.
once in a generation player. So it takes some time to find a new Chris Gayle. Like it takes some time to find a new Tendulkar or a Ganguly or a Gavaskar. That's how it is. And you
True.
need to give time. And I think this 2020 side, this West Indian 2020 side, they can surprise anyone any day. They still are a very, very,
Mm.
they are still a very unpredictable side. I will keep them, they can be, party poopers. Like if one team is doing very well and suddenly they will come and destroy their plans. So you cannot let your guard down against this side. Suddenly, in a
Absolutely.
format like 2020, you don't even know from where that 40 ball 100 comes, from where those 4 wickets come. And suddenly you feel like, oh my God, by the time you realize the match is gone. So I personally feel, and especially on this wicket, I will tell you something. I was part of the team that traveled to Fort Lauderdale in 2015. And there was one game in which West Indies got 245 runs and India got
Yes,
244
yeah.
runs. And we
He
lost
lost
that
by one
match with
run.
one run. So in 40
Yeah.
overs, 500 runs were scored in 40 overs. And the
And
next
I
match
think
rained
and I
on.
think I saw you with KL Rahul at the post match interview.
Yes, 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 yes. So that was the series, I think. And this is a great batting wicket. So you never know. And it's a small ground, very good batting wicket. I hope it is the same wicket, like more or less the same wicket I was just reading Shreyas Iyer's interview, and he said that wicket looks absolutely flat. So if it's still a flat wicket, West Indies batting first, puts up a good total on the board, puts some pressure on Indian bowlers, and then you never know. But I personally feel that against this West Indies side, you cannot have a day off. If you'll have a day off,
Yeah,
we
they're
will
very
catch you.
much a team in the making. You see, like Nishan rightly says, so no Gale, no Bravo, no Pollard, no Russell, no Narayan. So you need players to replace. You need a time to replace players of this caliber.
Yes.
So these guys will ultimately become those players, but there's a transition period, and that's what they're going through. Yeah. So, but you know what? Like Nishan says, they'll party poopers. They'll play one brilliant game, but party poopers don't win trophies. The team that won
Hmm.
West Indies, Darren Sammy's skipper team, they were no party poopers. They were one hell of a team. But party poopers
Just
spoil
just
trophies because you have to be consistent enough to be able to go all the way. So Australia, West
just look
Indies
at
back
the
in the yes, Nishan.
just look at that lineup. Just look at that lineup. Chris Gale, Devine Bravo, Sunil Narayan, and Kieran Pollard. All these will go
Andre
down
Russell.
as Andre Russell, all
Yeah,
Lewis. All these players will go down as probably the greatest players this format has seen. 2020
yeah,
format.
absolutely, absolutely.
They are the
Absolutely.
first. They are the
Samuels,
first.
Samuels back in the day,
Yeah, yeah.
who's
They are the
won both the
first
finals to
bona
them.
fide. They are the first bona fide, I would say, professional cricketers of 2020, where they played 2020 cricket all across the year, from one league to
Yeah,
another,
absolutely.
to another, to another.
Suleiman
And
Ben with his left arm spin, every ball coming in.
yes,
Yes, tremendous team, tremendous team.
yeah, that was a team, that was some different side. So it takes some time to replace
They'll come
those kind
around.
of
They'll come
giants.
around. They'll come around.
Yeah.
Okay, so an update comes that the covers are finally off, and there will be an inspection in around 10 minutes to confirm whether we can have a game or not, this fourth T20I between India and West Indies. And as we approach to the conclusion of this pre-show, Joyada, if you could, treat us with some of your stories about your trip to this lengthy trip that you had to England, to Birmingham,
Oh, it was
about
very
your
nice.
experience.
Yeah, it was very nice. There was some personal touch to it. A lot of cricket we watched. We watched not only the India series, then we watched a lot of white ball cricket. We watched a bit of county cricket. So it was really enjoyable. Only it's getting warm over there, and I don't like warm. When you spend so much of money and go over there, I want it to be cold and freezing, like it is when Nishant. I love when I see Nishant in Canada with the jacket on, with the coffee. I just love that sight. And
You have
and
to come
we
there,
went
Dada.
in. I will.
And if
My
you
folks live
and
in
if
the
you
US.
like and if you like golf, maybe we can play some golf. I've started that
No, no,
game.
I
Nishant,
use
why,
for
Nishant, why don't you sponsor us a trip?
yeah. Now
I
you're
You don't
talking.
sponsor us a
Now
trip.
you're
I
talking.
No, I have spoken to Boria. Boria is saying that we are going to get a big sponsor. Rev
Okay,
Sports will make some money, and then we will do a offsite in Vancouver.
super. Sounds great.
Lovely,
You
lovely.
can come. You all can come in. I have a big enough house. You all can come and stay with me.
Sometimes the size of the heart is more important than the size of the house.
The size of the heart is
Absolutely.
big. Size of the
I
heart
know
is
that.
big,
So all that matters.
and
That's all that
and
matters.
you two Bengalis will be surprised. I have Muri at home. I have Poshtu at home. I do good
Yeah.
fish, so you will
I
feel at
know that
home.
Nishant and his obsession with
With the
posto.
North Indians,
We can do a
with the
separate.
North
We can
Indians,
we can do a separate show on Nishant and his obsession with aloo posto. We can
I'll
literally
with
tell
the
do
you.
a show, and
with the
it's going to
North
be such a
Indians,
hit.
you will never be short of food. Can you imagine that aloo ka paratha with makhan deke
Yeah,
subah in
anytime.
I am a
six
North Indian,
degrees?
and trust me, I am madly in love with chole bhature. Oh God,
Okay.
it's
Come.
eternal
I, you
bliss.
know, I live next to a town called Surrey, and
Hmm.
Surrey is basically, if you go to Surrey, you will feel like that you are in Jalandhar, and two
Okay.
foreigners have come.
Oh
It has the
wow.
yeah, it's the second most populated town in Canada, and 90% population is Sikhs,
Wow.
Sardars.
You've gone to the
We
right
have
place.
40, we
Wow.
have 40, we have 46 gurdwaras there, serving
Oh my
langar
God.
all serving
Awesome.
langar all the time. And whenever if
So
you
you
go to
don't
those
feel out of
deserts,
place. You don't feel out
no
of
way,
home.
Dada, no way,
Too good.
no way.
Too good. Too good.
No, it's you have to come to see that place. It's amazing.
Yes,
Like
we will. We will. We will soon.
how
We will.
many
Namini.
Punjabis we have.
Okay, so this was a lovely conversation. Unfortunately, we are yet to have any updates on the commencement of the fourth T20I between India and West Indies. We do hope we have a game, but otherwise, it was lovely talking to you, gentlemen, Joydeep Mukherjee and Nishant Jeet Arora. Joydeep Da, once again, welcome back to India, welcome back home.
Thank
It's a
you.
long trip. It's been a long trip for you. We wish you the best of health and you take some rest now. You deserve
Thank
it.
you. Thank
And
you.
we do hope we have a good game of cricket.
We are
And
supposed to
let's
meet
hope
tomorrow
India
again, right?
manages. Yeah,
The next game is
absolutely.
also
We are
tomorrow, right?
supposed to meet. We are supposed to
Nice.
meet tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to meeting you two tomorrow again. And we do hope today we have a game and India managed to wrap up the series. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bhavini. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.